So as a virus through all the NHS computers, makes the services redundant almost wholesale across. No essential, non-essential visits to the British NHS, please. No A&E visits unless you've got an axe through your head, etc, etc. Phone the call center, go through the phone line, do the usual management by phone and call center malarkey. We're seeing a proliferation now of talk about computer viruses, and I believe this is an escalation, a fear-based escalation on the great hacking, so that people associate hacking with there's this party, there's always a bad ones, there's always terrorists, and that there are these armies of renegade individuals that have clubbed up, that wear hoodies and walk around and hack into things, hack into and cripple NHS because they want people to die, or hold ransoms of a hospital which clearly wouldn't be easily paid, or a small job. And I just want to say on this whole hacking is a state-based activity, wholesale, broadly speaking. That doesn't mean every single aspect ever. Hacking is an intelligence, dark state based activity. If cryptos get hacked, it's probably nearly always CIA, FBI controlled. Do the other nation states having hacking capability? Yes, America will have had it first and probably be the leaders therein, and there will be others in GCHQ here in the UK. There will be coordinated hacking. They will plan in advance that certain people will come via a certain gateway and hack. For example, those that might be hacking the NHS system might be from another country but being facilitated through the intelligence-based services. These aren't individuals. These aren't mean-spirited people that want to sick people to go without service and get a kick out of it and want to show what they do, or spiteful little teenagers with ego issues trying to show how smart they are that have gone and propagated this wholesale system. We are being focused on the NHS because it is a big political football right here, right now in the UK, with the notion that it is being privatized, sold off, will be owned by big pharma companies, most of it outsourced, and then private providers being hived out, parts thereof, which will fall under the corporatocracy, and then all the security will be better, all this will happen. In other words, problem, reaction, solution all over again. The dialectic, the Helvetian dialectic, all over everything. We also have had hacking as an activity involved in cryptos. We've had hacking as activities involved with banks. We've had North Korea accused of hacking Sony in a parallel universe that I don't know who belongs therein, coming out of Obama. This is the absolute absurdity of the Alice in Wonderland mainstream media. They don't care for the believability of the narratives they create anymore. They will say anything. The more ridiculous and the more sublime, the happier they are. They think and they actively pursue the greater, more ridiculous lies, the more believable lie. Kim Jong-il sits there in a room full of mega developers and programmers, the greatest of the world, and plans how he can create a situation and hack a listed Japanese company. I mean, if you are a buyer of this news flow, you're a fool. It's all to direct you and deflect you away from real dramas that are going on, but it also gives you clues of the great boogeyman of the new era. The boogeyman of the new era that the control structure will be utilizing. And I've said many times before that my scenario cast, not a forecast, but a potential play out. I'm not marrying it. Lots of things can happen. For the takedown and the eventual reset on the financial system side will be a hacking narrative. a supergroup of developed hackers that will have a name. They'll slowly start building these villains up, and they'll say, yes, the group that was once known to be responsible for hacking the British NHS service and have managed to do this, and they go to ever greater exploits, kind of like 9/11 and Al-Qaeda. You know, first it was a little rubber dinghy that, you know, with a bit of explosives on it that got driven into a side of a US battleship, and then you have, you know, a Kenyan embassy blown up, and then you have, you know, this escalation of this ever greater daring and cunning, and this is growing into an ever more threat, and you should all be afraid, and etc, etc, etc. Hacking is on the journey to becoming that. Hacking is the new activity that must be contained. What you should fear. Your takedown of your services are subject to hackers. These bad guys, they're the terrorists of a new era, and they will dovetail along with the Islamic terrorists that are all over the place, behind every bush, ready to murder anybody with a white skin or a brown skin, or who knows, a black skin. The narrative of fear is continuing, and this is the new created boogeyman, the hacker. It's not even new, it's been going on for a while, but the reason why I want to tag this for you now is it's just occurred, and it's triggered something that I want to put out there for a while. Understand the case of narrative building. They'll never come out with a completely new story for a great reset. They'll have worked the narrative before. They will have prepared the ground before. They will have done build-ups before. They will have planted seeds in your imagination and mind. This is the Bernays-like crowd control structure and mechanism. Introduce the new demon. Continue to introduce him. Let him be something in the periphery initially, on a small level. We all had antivirus softwares for our PCs, and maybe it could spell a joke at you and you couldn't use your computer for a while until you bought a whatever. Now it's bigger. It gets into systems. It's taking down whole corporations. Now nation states are doing it. Now. And so it goes on till eventually all our bank balances got nixed because this hacking group wants to destroy the world and wreak chaos, and has broken into, you know, Royal Bank, Barclays, HSBC, all the US banks, etc, etc, set them all to zero, or posted huge loan accounts, submitted a ransom note that wasn't paid, yada yada yada. Fill in the detail. Hacking is the new great cloak of deception. The deceiver's cloak. Every time you hear a news-based events where it talks about hacking, we had denial of service events. This is code name for a relative of hacking, a subset. Denial of service, where spitting loads of emails, overloading somebody's server. A corporation gets to pass off lack of infrastructure and investment due to a spike in volume on the trading crypto exchanges as it couldn't have been foreseen. It was a black swan event. We are victims. We are always victims, and it couldn't have been foreseen. It's not our fault. Meanwhile, it could just be that they had insufficient infrastructure for the spike in volumes, and they deserve it. Maybe it was a denial of service response. Maybe it was hackers. Who knows? The truth is, you never will know. But let me tell you the subterfuge that will go on behind the cloak that will be broadly thrown as a veil called hacking. All sorts of dastardly deeds will be going on. All sorts of drills, plans, and potential for the future takedowns of the system, or other activities that will allow for draconian new rules, new intervention into technology, new requirements to have access, new gateway nodes, etc, etc, that can be policed, controlled, and less liberty for you. That is the game. And false flag events. With that, I wish you goodwill, and watch out for those hacking headlines.